Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Rum and Cinema. Today we're going to talk about Paprika, now available to rent or buy on digital. It came out in 2006. It's an animated feature film directed by Satoshi Kon, who unfortunately died of pancreatic cancer about 3 years after this movie's release. You can find us at youtube.com/@rumandcinema. Subscribe to keep up to date with our new episodes as we release them. You can also find us on TikTok at Rum and Cinema and any podcasting platform you prefer. Nate, Jake, in the same building today. How are you two?
It's a mind fuck.
Feels good.
Yeah.
It's like I'm in a dream, but it's
Doing
real.
great, doing great.
Oh,
Yeah.
last night was a dream.
It was something else.
Yikes. You two aren't even talking about watching the movie. That's what's wild. Good to see you both hanging out. That's awesome. Today we're going to be talking about Paprika, like we said. First, we're going to introduce the movie as a spoiler-free review. So if you do want to watch the movie, listen to about the next 5 minutes or so. And then we'll start talking spoilers, and we'll give you a heads up when we're going to do that. So real quick, if you're going to talk to somebody about watching this movie, what would you tell them? Nate, go first.
As I did to both of you, just go watch this movie. It's one of my favorite movies. It's like the same excitement level as Everything Everywhere All at Once. It's maybe a little less accessible, and honestly probably not quite as incredible as Everything Everywhere, but it is really incredible, like, for what it is. As we were discussing, definitely inspired Inception.
Oh, yeah.
If you love the trippiness of Inception, this is the original concept, and the animation lets it push so much further. It's broken my mind multiple times watching it at various levels of sobriety. But last night I watched it sober, and it's still mind-bending.
Yeah. It's a movie where dreams and reality are questioned throughout the whole thing. And it's also kind of a detective heist story and like coming of age-ish, dealing with anxiety and PTSD story. It's
Dealing with repressed emotions.
yeah, and like how do we treat dreams, and how do we like are we listening to ourselves enough to really know what's going on? It's interesting. Jake, what would you tell people that are asking if they should see this movie or not, other than go watch it, I assume?
Yeah, I mean, for sure, the fact that it's clearly the spiritual precursor to Inception. I don't know. It's just I have no negative notes about this movie. It's just it kept me guessing the entire time. Visually, it was a masterpiece.
Hmm.
I
And
can't wait to talk about some of the visual stuff in this.
Yeah.
Cool.
Like, unique for anime in particular. And also, yeah.
And then I cannot think of the last movie that I saw where I was like, I need to rewatch this.
Yeah.
I need, because like even just thinking back on, because as you're watching the movie, you'll start to come across scenes and you're like, oh my God, this is the callback to this, or this is, and that's just every scene.
Mhm.
Every scene is it's
And
just masterfully like layered.
Yeah, and foreshadowed. Like, Ben, you've watched it twice. Like, immediately you start, as soon as you know what's coming next, you start seeing it coming from about 5 minutes away. And I love that every single one they start slowly building, and it just gets weirder and weirder, and it builds and builds, and the music builds with it. And then we get a reset, but you're still not sure if you're really at base level. And then it starts building in weirdness again. And that's just the entire movie is ratcheting up this surreal feeling, this questioning reality. And yeah, not even knowing if you're in the dream world still.
Yeah. It's one of the most original movies I've seen, even though I've seen Inception. Like, it feels more original than that. Not just because it came before it, but I think even if this came out after, I would still feel that way. I think it's, you guys, when you recommended Jake Record of Ragnarok, Nate was like, anime just kind of dumps you into stuff and expects you to like figure it out. And I felt that during this movie, and I appreciated it, to be honest. Like, Inception kind of holds your hand for like an hour of exposition, whereas this just cut that. It cut all the fat. It's just going to throw you in, and you got to kind of figure it out. It gives you little clues and stuff, but yeah, it's great.
Yeah, you got to rewatch it to process it. And yeah, that's why I'd say, like, it's less accessible.
Mhm.
Like, I wouldn't recommend this to my mom. But like, it's worth it, and it is a little rough the first time, and I understand like Inception doing that for, you know, this couldn't be like a national release that makes $1 million.
Right.
I think it's seen theater release since, but it had to build that slowly. It's not, you know, for everyone, but it's worth it if you're willing to slog through it, and not slog through it, but like get through it the first time and just roll with it, and just enjoy the ride the first time, and then go back a second time and watch it to analyze it.
Yeah. I think if
know what's going on.
If you go in with the mindset of like, I'm just going to go with this and I'm going to accept whatever's thrown at me, you're going to enjoy the shit out of this movie.
Yeah.
I think that's another thing where, you know, I'd caution people who are going to watch it, which everyone listening, if you haven't seen it, turn this off and go watch it. Your first time through, like, just accept that you're going to be very confused at times.
Even though, like, the only criticism I could level, because I have to be fair, because I complain about like incredibly dense exposition, is like, this movie, it doesn't hold your hand, it rolls through it really fast, but a lot of the non-dream, non-action scenes are just scientists explaining in dry, like, explaining the technology, just literally explaining to each other what the technology is and how it works, so that you can try to keep up.
Yeah.
But you can't even follow it the first time. You're just like, okay, what? Oh, okay, where are we now? Like,
I will say
the first scene of explaining and arguing about the plot of like whether the technology is okay or not is cut short by insanity.
Yeah, when I got to that scene and the thing happens where insanity starts, I thought the subtitles were going on like wrong. I was like, what the fuck is this? This sucks.
It was subtitles.
Yeah, I was like, oh, this sucks, and then it made sense. So yeah, that's, I think, the end of our spoiler-free review. Unless anybody else has something to add, we will get into spoilers.
If you're listening to this podcast, go watch it.
Go watch it.
Caution that if you rent it on YouTube, make sure it's the English version.
Yeah. So now we're going to start the spoiler-filled chat about this movie. We all enjoyed this, so let's go through it. So we open up with a really cool circus scene where we're introduced to this, like, looks like a police guy or something, and he's kind of whispering notes to a fellow person, and he gets put into a cage in the middle of the ring, and then versions of himself as different people come and attack him, and he falls through the floor, and now he's Tarzan swinging across the area with this girl in his arms, and now he's on a train being like attacked, like it looks like an old noir movie, and then he's at like this 50s concert hall kind of thing where the girl
affair.
Yeah, the girl's like beating someone over the head, and then we're in a hallway and we see a person falling and another person leaving. And
introducing my favorite musical sting of the entire movie.
Which is that?
That I don't even know how to describe it because it's just eeriness. When he opens that door and it goes
yeah,
and you get buzzing starting to happen every time things get to kind of peak weirdness.
Yeah, there's like there's like a murmuring always happening too when you're in the weirdness.
Yeah,
like
it's like a buzzing
mumbling
in your ears.
Yeah.
It's very dreamlike.
It's weird.
Yeah. So yeah, you didn't have a stroke. That's the first like 5 minutes of the movie.
Yep.
Yeah.
You're thrown right in.
Yeah, they don't ease you into it.
Yeah.
Which too, like, I knew that this movie was dream hacking. So like in the first circus scene, I'm like, this is probably a dream, but maybe not. He gets teleported into the cage. You're like, okay. And then you look into the audience, and if obviously they start running towards you, but if you know it to expect it, you start looking into the audience and everyone's face starts being his face.
Oh,
and
so cool.
Like right away, and you're just like, oh, okay.
This is going to be incredible. And then he's awoken. So we finds out it's in a dream. Konakawa is the captain of the police force. Yeah. Konakawa. And there is a girl next to him who we are later revealed to be Paprika. Paprika is kind of like this guide. I don't know. Is geisha the right term?
No, I think it's clear from the beginning that she's a therapist.
Yeah, she's a therapist. She's doing guided therapy through
Yes.
different means. And she explains that they're using a DC Mini, which is this piece of technology invented that implants into your brain and lets you expose your dreams to other people, whether that be a therapist or a video recording or, as we'll find out later, nefarious things.
And we get our first big, again, like right away, like having watched a couple, I'm like, yeah, this is quite an exposition dump. Like it's happening so fast. I feel like maybe, I don't know if it bugged you as much, but like on the first watch, I don't think it bugged me on the first watch, but they're literally just going through, and she's literally explaining, like the length of the scene corresponds to how deep of sleep you're in, and literally
I forgot about that actually.
It's too fast.
Yeah.
The first time, but yeah, she's literally like, as you're falling asleep, those are vignettes, but once you fall into REM sleep, that's like a full length movie.
Yeah.
And honestly, this time when I watched it, I was like, is that like a hint that this whole thing is a dream? I don't know, man. A full length movie dream.
But it's artsy, so it's Little Dreams.
Yeah.
I didn't hate it. The second time I wanted to fast forward a couple places, but it actually wasn't the exposition spots. I thought they were it was like getting it was like fine dining courses. Like you're getting it often, but you're getting it small enough that like you're still hungry when the next round comes around.
Yeah, it always gets cut off by just madness or an interesting action scene happening.
I think a roller coaster is a good way to describe this. Like you kind of like that's building up, and they just kind of like whipped around for a little bit, and then you build back up. Like you got to have that. You can't just be the whole time.
Yeah, if it was all of one or all of the other, it wouldn't work.
Yeah.
But the fact that it changes so much, and it's like the roller coaster where you don't quite know where the drop's coming either.
Yeah, you're going backwards.
This scene is already, and you don't know on first watch, but already another example of, the real genius of this movie, which is that you can't tell what's real or not, because we come out of this dream, she's explaining the dream therapy, and it is not clear at all that we are still in a dream. 100%, but we are for sure, because we later learn that Paprika only appears in the dreams. And so they're in this hotel room and they're talking about the therapy, and she's explaining to him, and it seems very normal, but we are still in a dream.
Yeah.
And I loved, there's really subtle hints, really subtle in this one. They're both in bathrobes, and then she's like, all right, I'm going to go. And she jumps up, and then the camera turns around and she's fully clothed.
Oh, dang.
And like just so quick. And she opens the door and it's just light, and then the title card cuts, so it's hard to see, but like there's nothing on the other side of that door.
Holy shit.
And then we run through the title card. I think you had some things
with
to say.
Some amazing music that I put in my phone 3 times. This is a fucking banger. And as I was taking notes, because these songs go hard. They go really hard. So yeah, during that sequence, we find out that Konakawa is investigating a homicide, and that's who we see in the hallway. And Paprika gives him a card for a website to go to come talk to her later. So the title card scene, like Nate said, we see Paprika kind of like jump in and out of things, which is really cool. Like if there's an ad for something, she can like fly into it, do something with it, and fly out. At one point, she like hops out of a computer and like puts a jacket over somebody's arms or like shoulder, like they're sleeping. She runs through there, and then she like morphs into Chiba. Atsaku Chiba. She's a doctor. She's like the yin to the yang of Paprika. Paprika's kind of like the fun-loving go whatever, and then this is like the analytical side is Chiba.
Ego,
yeah. So Chiba is we think Paprika at this point. Like maybe that's the first hint.
It's the first hint. Like I think she's driving in a car. It's Paprika, and then a truck goes by, and then it's Chiba.
Yeah.
And like that's a pretty obvious hint in retrospect.
For sure.
But I mean, maybe I was just dumb, but I was not sure the first time around.
I wasn't either, but that's the first.
Yeah.
It's the first they implanted into your mind that it might be. You know what I'm saying? So the dream machine was stolen. We find that out because there's a fat guy in the elevator. They make fun of this fat guy a lot, which I looked up. Apparently, Japanese culture, that's a thing, is they just shit on fat people.
I was really like, I'm more uncomfortable every time with this. And I feel so bad.
Yeah.
And but like, yeah, it does come across as like it seems like it's less transgressive in the movie.
He's never butthurt about it.
Yeah, like it's obviously not great, but it seems like they're just it seems more normal.
Yeah, like they always animate him with sweat on his brow.
Yeah,
and
I made a comment about that during the movie.
He had to go sideways into the doors. Like when they went into Hikaru's apartment, he goes sideways.
Yeah. So bad. I noticed for the first time last night that when they're driving, when the other scientist and Shiba are driving in the car, the establishing scene outside the car, it's like on its axle. Like it's completely, the wheel is struggling.
I was wondering.
And I was like, aw.
So Nate pitched this movie to us as like an Inception trigger. Like, it's like a precursor to Inception. And as I watched this, I was like, was it also a precursor for The Whale? Because this motherfucker is big.
Yeah. It is so cool. I love the character design.
Mm.
Like, I don't love that they're picking on the fat guy, but every character in this movie is a completely different shape.
Yeah.
Except for the scientist and the chairman.
Osanai and Professor X.
Yes. Professor X.
There's...
But like, yeah, Shiba's the little dude and he's a rectangle. Yeah. And Shiba and Paprika are like a woman, like willowy and tall. And then he's Tokita is gigantic. Both also tall. He's like a solid foot taller than Shiba.
Everybody. Yeah. So
when they're standing in the hallway, like I remember right after they discover that it's stolen, they go to Osanai's or Shima's office where they're talking to the chairman and they're all standing in the doorway. And it's just it's literally like 3 blocks. Yeah. Which is a thing in like character design of like blocking out and animated to block people out in completely different shapes.
Yeah, you got to keep your windows
so distinct.
I like that. Yeah, Professor X was my favorite. So the chairman is in a chair, hilarious. And he's in a wheelchair and like that's how he can get around. So he already knows about they're trying to keep it
describing what a wheelchair is.
What?
He's in a wheelchair. That's how he can get around.
Yeah, it's like an electric. I did the electric thing on down low, but it's an electric wheelchair. So Paprika is someone that they like. The chairman mentions, and he's like, "Yo, Paprika's not using this in the right way." And Chiba immediately is like, "You're gonna believe rumors like that?" So like we know now, Paprika's kind of not allowed to do what she's doing. There's no like authorized uses. This isn't used for public consumption yet. The DC Mini, so. Now we're kind of seeing that they're like branching out a bit from what their original use.
I was trying to read today, like a couple of plot breakdowns, mostly to try to figure out what I think is happening at the very end. But apparently it's supposed to be clear by that conversation, that there's a DC Mini 1 that let the therapists view their dreams. And there's the DC Mini 2, which lets the therapist go into their dreams. But that one has not been approved for public use. Oh. And they are aware that Paprika is using it illegally, but it's supposed to be on the DL. And apparently you're supposed to have gotten all that by now.
Okay.
Which I still, yeah. I wasn't clear, like, watching it. I don't remember them mentioning the DC Mini 1, but apparently they do.
Well, there's 3 of them. They do say that at one point. Yeah. There's 2 other missing, is what they say.
Yeah.
So Professor X is ready to shut down the program. And then in the middle of this scene, this is where I thought the subtitles were going all fucky. The old man goes nuts. And just starts spewing babbly bullshit and jumps out the window.
Yep. My favorite, the first time we watched this, he starts talking and he gets more and more enthusiastic and you start to realize, but at first he's just talking casually and just starts saying nonsense. Yeah. And Taylor turned to me and said, "Wait, is what he's saying making sense?" And I was like, "No, it's not." And she was like, "Thank God."
Yeah.
Because she thought she was like having a stroke.
Yeah, it was because the first thing he says was like a cute little rhyme, and like it says something about like paprika bikini, something people like it rhyme, and I'm like, okay, he's just like a folksy whatever that they're going with that for his dialect, odd for a scientist, but okay,
right.
And then he just keeps going, and I'm like, no, he's losing it.
Yeah, I
kind of want to know.
I paused it and checked the subtitles. And then I like went backward and watched it again. I was like, what the fuck is this? And then let it play out long enough. Like, this is the part where you have to start to be just on the ride. And I think this is kind of a nice way to do it.
Jumps out a window. And apparently old men in Japan are very durable. Because that's like a 5th-story window.
It's good eating.
Yeah, fish and rice, you just bounce off the fucking ground, apparently.
So tons of collagen, marine collagen, makes you.
They were wrapped in
relax.
seaweed when they were dropped, so it's really. So him and later on, Himuru, when he jumps, he's back. He's fine. Like nobody dies in this movie except the bad people. Only the bad people die.
And a lot of innocent bystander. We'll talk.
Oh
about
yeah,
when that
the
parade
Superman,
happens and you're watching, like you're like, oh, that person's dead. Oh,
Yep.
they're dead. Like
the Superman Man of Steel problem.
oh yeah,
yeah. Although the building that they were in, at the end, Paprika and Old Man are in, empty, completely empty, as that like dog just trolls through it. So they never show any innocent people dying, which is good.
yeah.
Yeah. Anyhow, so Himuru is who they think took the DC mini. He was Dr. T's, the fat guy's kind of sidekick, kind of like his Igor to his Frankenstein. And his apartment is full of weird shit. There's like dolls
we first
everywhere.
meet him in the dream because they're watching Shima's dream as he's in a coma, and he's in the parade, and this fucking doll of my nightmares pops out and starts talking in the doll voice, which I can't even do. Like it's terrifying. And then he morphs into Osanai, and you're just like, Himuro. Morphs into Himuro. Yeah. And they're like, oh.
Like imagine like whack-a-mole with dolls, but then their faces change to like an old Japanese man over and over and over and over. That's what it's not going to be something we can explain to you, but if you've seen the movie, you know exactly what the fuck we're talking about. So then she's going through the house and we see Osanai, something you'll notice on the rewatch, like act disgusted when he sees gay porn in Himuru's closet, which we find out later a reason why.
I thought he was just an asshole the first time. Same. I noticed him doing it and I thought he was just a dick.
Yeah.
But no, he's got deeper issues.
Oh, so deep. So then Dr. Chiba is going through the room and you see the doll behind her, like from the dream, and I was like, oh fuck, so then you're not sure. Are we in the dream world? Are we in the real world? Paprika shows up and says, yo dog.
Last night on second rewatch, Taylor still yelled, no! when the doll peeks out from behind her in the closet. That's
a dope doll. I'm going to buy you a doll like that for your house.
Oh, send it to us.
Yeah. But not tell you.
Oh my God.
There's no return address.
Oh God.
So then you go down she opens the closet where the doll was. You go down this ladder. There's this like huge, like crudely cartoon drawings on the wall type of walkthrough area.
Going down the ladder was the first example of something that I had to ask Jake. In anime, do they do a lot of like pan zooms?
Mm-hmm.
Because I can't think of any.
Yeah.
Because they go down. You go down, and something Taylor said was it makes it looks really realistic. Like for a second, like when you're not seeing any characters, the background drawing is pretty realistic, and when you're getting the camera moving through stuff, it feels kind of realistic.
Yeah. Is that a thing in anime, Jake?
And see, a lot of the camera movement in this, I thought was just very distinct. Even from anime.
I think it comes from because this movie, like a little subplot, is like a focus on loving of film creation.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
And I think that these were like inspired by real life film and not something you see in a lot of animation.
Yeah. Fun fact.
There to be a camera.
Apparently, this director, from what I saw on Wikipedia, in a quick read that I may have read wrong, he didn't see a live action movie till he was in college.
Oh wow!
Yeah, which makes this like even more incredible, like the way he did
it.
But he always wanted to draw. He always drew stuff, and he wanted to draw stuff that could be real or could be like fiction. That's apparently like the theme of all his movies.
Yeah.
And the way that this is drawn, because it's drawn, it feels like it's so easy to just accept everything that's happening. And that's why we were talking earlier, Amazon's going to try to do a live action replay of this. I don't know, man. It's going to be rough.
I don't know. Don't get me wrong. Like
tragic.
I think we're all sick of, this needs a live action remake. This needs live. Not everything does. Some things, sure, they could benefit from it. Like, I don't know. Like
can't think of one.
Well, I mean, like you look at Aladdin. Did it need one? No.
Oh,
Well, how
Could
was
have
it?
been cool.
It was fine.
Yeah.
I think it
Nightmare.
was fine.
I feel like
You know,
Nightmare Before Christmas could be done live action. You'd be like, all right, that's kind of cool. It's nice,
Yeah.
like a play or something.
But yeah, this like I think these live action remakes literally just pander to people who refuse to watch anything animated.
True.
Which is
And
it's just
a lot of the
sad.
best anime that totally fails, like they tried to do Ghost in the Shell.
Ugh.
The thing is, like, it relies on, like, this movie is the best example I can think of. Like, the parade, like, it doesn't make sense in real life. Like, it relies on animation to convey the stuff that it's conveying.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, could they nail it? Maybe.
Yeah,
but
that's,
it would be really expensive.
We're getting
at
to
least.
the point, technology wise, where like, could they create that parade? You know, in live action, I'm sure they could, but the fact is, you're spending tons of money, like making this just to, like, your best possible end goal is like to get to the level that the animation conveys. And it's like, why are you doing this when your best possible end goal?
It's like looking at one of those things that's like, we had AI create live action versions of these characters, and you see The Incredibles, and you're like, you're missing the entire point of this movie. Like, why are you doing this?
Yeah. My question is, what reason do you have for Paprika not being played by Scarlett Johansson?
Because she did Ghost in the Shell. And stuff.
Damn.
Ouch. Maybe that'll be a
I would
future
like to see that. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh,
But
because of two scenes in
the rest
particular, you fuck.
No, I denounce that scene.
We should do a future cast of this movie in the future. That'll be an upcoming game we can do. Who would you cast
A
as
future cast, if you
the main
will.
people? Ooh. So the more you use the DC Mini, the more susceptible you are to invasions. Dr. Chiba, Paprika, At-chan, whatever you want to call her, used it the most. So her dreaming in a wake state makes sense. So that's how they kind of figure out why she was attacked in this room.
And I think that was another case of what Nate said of them. Okay, now they're back in the real world, and they literally just flat out explain. Yeah, they flat out come out and tell you. Okay,
It's right after that scene.
If you use this device, you know, the more you use it, then you become susceptible. You know, in another movie, they might have let the audience figure that out for themselves, but in this movie, that's not the point of what you're trying to figure out. So it's okay for them to tell you just flat out, this is the rule, this is how it works, because that's not even adjacent to what the mystery is.
And then the one time you might actually have questions, I like how when Paprika shows back up after the like flaying of her later, no questions, no time for questions, just go. And I was like, yeah,
literally no time.
This movie does that, I think, in a couple of good parts where sometimes like the dialogue is the character speaking, and sometimes the dialogue is them talking to you.
Yeah.
Literally getting you through things.
Yeah.
I did. I interrupted you describing this first scene, which I don't want to skip on, of her going through descending into the dream for the first time, because again, it's one of my favorite parts of this movie.
So yeah, she goes and turns a corner, opens a door, and all of a sudden you're at this like circus festival of like a huge circus, like a state park or a theme park.
Yeah, it's at a theme park, and it's
state
done
park.
Like that one, like it gets you, but like every time they do it, you descend in parts. Like it's like little steps at a time. Like the doll is there, she goes down the trapdoor in the closet, and you're like, that's weird, but like, okay, that could happen. You get into this creepy room, and you're like, well, this guy's really creepy. Like he's got a secret creepy room with like dolls, and then she opens that door, and you're there. And if you're in a certain state of mind, you're like, what the fuck just happened?
But they do have
how
like,
are we in an amusement park?
There's a building right next to her. Like when she opens the door, like you could interpret it as being real because you don't see where you are in the city when you get into the apartment, right?
Yeah, she could be walking out into an alleyway and suddenly she's in an amusement park.
Yeah, I buy it.
Yeah. Yeah, and then we get the first instance of like the lethality of this as she's following the doll around, and you know, she's just kind of following the doll through a creepy amusement park. But then the doll's just sitting there like, come get me, over a railing. And she goes to jump the railing, and she's about to jump off of the balcony of the building that she was in.
Yeah,
literally like 5 feet away from where she was.
Saved by Osanai.
Yeah.
I did notice. Did you notice all the dolls Heil Hitlering in this movie? Is that a thing?
Yeah, I noticed that a lot. I don't
know what that means in Japan.
Talking. I think it's. I'm inclined to assume it's just doesn't mean the same thing.
I mean, they were on that side. You know what I'm saying? I tried to Google it as like a gesture thing, and I couldn't see anything. So, Jake, if you find anything different, let us know. Yeah. Can I Heil Hitler in Japan? Can I Heil Hitler in the Netherlands?
Yeah.
So now we're gonna go forward a little bit to where they're in the diner afterwards, and they just keep every plate that comes over is for the fat guy. He's like, oh, right here.
Tokita. That one was.
That was a little rough.
This where she also just says in one of those weird translations that I'm like, I think this sounded better in Japanese.
Oh yeah.
She says you should really monitor your food intake.
And I was just like, but then later she's like calling him like a fat slob. Like, how could anyone like you go masturbate or whatever? It was just like, holy shit.
Very mean. She's very, very mean to him.
Yeah.
Which is in keeping with the themes of the movie, but I was like, you're being very mean.
For sure. He refers to her as At-chan, which is like a cutesy name, plus the first initial of her first name. Which she
asked him not to do multiple times.
But she likes it.
A little bit of workplace sexual harassment.
She likes it.
Oh yeah, that's another great thing to bring in, that she does actually like it in the end.
And when she's like about to get raped by that Osanai guy, she like tries to lure him in with like some, oh yeah, you naughty boy. Like that was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
That part, I think
that was self-preservation, but it was weird.
I saw it as her, like, I love that scene of her like pretending to be scared and then showing she wasn't afraid at all, like just being a psychiatrist to him. Like she's fucking with him because he was like really emotionally vulnerable.
True.
I read that as her trying to like break him of his like brainwashing by the chairman, and she just seamlessly went between like she pretended to be scared to get him to like let him like relax, and then like called him out on it.
Yeah. Okay. That's fair. So we find out.
But the diner scene isn't memorable because it's just an exposition dump and a joke about Tokita being fat.
Fat people. And information about science. That's basically every exposition piece is Tokita's fat and he knows a lot of stuff. So we find out that
child genius.
That's what I do. I eat and I know things.
How would you save the world? Suck it all up. Being in the dream almost killed the chief guy, the old man. So Chiba goes and visits him in the hospital. We find out Chiba hasn't been dreaming. Interesting. And she talks the chief into staying in the hospital because if the old man can't vote in the board, you can't cancel the DC mini project, because she thinks the chairman's going to be nice about it, follow the rules. So Kokonawa goes on the website. Yeah, Kokonawa goes to the website that Paprika gives him in the beginning. Hitler stash immediately. What the fuck was that?
I really hope we don't like dive deep into this and find out that actually it is like they just like
they're Nazis.
The director is like I think they're Nazis.
I did a cursory Google search just now on like the Nazi salute and stuff. I saw nothing. I saw a couple of people asking like, what's with the Nazi salutes? Did anyone else?
And everyone's like, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Wait, were you talking about in Japan or in Paprika specifically?
No, in Paprika.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, and no, there was no answers. I just saw a couple of people saying like, I noticed them doing a bunch of Hitler salutes. That was kind of weird.
There was a Hitler stash on a small person as a bartender too. Like that was pretty obvious. But so he goes in.
Again, I read that as like it doesn't have the same significance or something, and it was just like having that mustache before Hitler was around, like that skit by some comedian.
Yeah,
like the last guy.
At some point, we have to reclaim the mustache.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Actually, no.
Nah.
It was like, imagine if Hitler had like good-looking facial hair.
Oh yeah,
what
like
we even do.
Yeah, and like, what are we just not gonna have that facial hair anymore?
Couldn't
like,
be the fucking soul patch.
Yeah, it's fine that it was the Hitler stash because nobody wants that anyways.
No, no. I'm so anti-Hitler. I don't even grow hair in the middle of my lip. It's crazy.
It's the only place I won't grow it.
Yep, I shave every morning right there. No, that's lower. Coconut goes to the website. Hitler's stash greets him. Then Paprika's there, and they leave with Paprika to find a hall of movies. And we find out this guy's a little weird about not liking movies. So that's a little foreshadowing.
Yeah, he feels very strongly about this.
Yeah, like to the point where they all shut their doors immediately in his subconscious. Like,
Yeah.
don't
We're
go
doing
in
some
there.
therapizing.
Yeah, don't therapize me.
Honestly, again, like, how cool would this be to actually have a therapist literally be able to dive into your dreams and just probe your subconscious and have your physical manifestations of your trauma.
But I do
just
like
fight with.
I do like the visualization
Damn,
of
my
like
trauma got hands.
Yeah, it'd be a lot easier to like figure out what's going on with you if you could literally visualize it.
Do you remember your priest? No. Oh, okay. Well, funny story. So I think it's interesting. I like the way it visualized how people like myself can feel in therapy of like not wanting to open up initially. You're like, nope, we can't go there. Can't go there. And you just shut it all down and try to move on immediately. That was really cool. I like that.
And a bit of like, I appreciate like the therapy that she is doing. Like Paprika is being a psychologist where she kind of leads him there by hand, very gently in different things. Like she gets him in a later scene. She gets him talking about movies again.
Yes.
And gets him excited talking about like the technicals.
Yeah.
While all this crazy stuff is happening, she's still just like therapizing the detective.
These are your 30 minutes, okay, Coconut?
Yeah,
I want you to know that. I'm
like,
here.
I got a
with
murder
you.
to catch, but we're busy right now.
Well, think about like the way a therapist is. Like a good therapist would be 100% engaged with their patient at the time. So
Yeah.
I think that shows a lot of how good of a because everybody says she's the best, and
Yeah.
I think that shows that really well. But it is funny to like zoom out for a second and be like, the world is ending, but let's
Yeah.
talk about pan focus in a movie.
Yeah.
That was good. So another
Where
couple.
do we go from there? I don't even remember.
Oh, then the
The
people
movies?
go crazy at the lab.
Oh, we just cut. Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, I can't remember that transition. in particular.
Oh,
Oh,
I wrote
yeah,
down
you're right.
everything that happens in this movie because
Yeah.
none of it really made. The first watch, I took notes. The second watch, I did not, and I liked them both. So a couple people go crazy at the like. We see a similar scene to what we saw with the old man, where they're spouting bullshit nonsense, and they start like chopping people, and you see like bloody broomsticks and shit, and you're like, oh god, more people are being attacked by this terrorist, as they call it.
Yeah, I was really. I remember being struck. Like, how did those two do? Like, they beat up like 40 people.
Yeah,
Like, what?
that one doesn't make sense. And then
I
'cause
think they
there's
were just
also
trying to restrain them or something. But like,
Maybe.
yeah, I was like, those two did work.
there's also a lot of people just like watching at that point, and I'm like, okay, did they just give up and be like, all right, they're superhuman. I'm not jumping in there. I'll be another bloody mess on the floor.
This looks like PCP to me, fellas. I'm staying back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like,
We tried to tase them. It didn't work.
I'm
made
done
him
today.
stronger.
Haven't been made for
Power
this.
of dreams is stronger than tasers.
So after this happens, the fat man and Chiba realize that we need to figure this shit out. And Fat Man's taking his jacket off, and Chiba notices this like animated character from a theme park called Dreamland, and she's like, "That's where I saw the fucking doll in the dream thing." So they go to Dreamland. They see the doll from her earlier dream, and that's where we find Himuru falling to almost his death. Apparently, again, fish collagen.
Which
and the
some
DC
kind of Go ahead.
and the DC Mini is like implanting into his brain. He's been wearing it so long, it's like infiltrating his psyche and his
Yeah.
person.
That was one thing I was like, okay, what is happening right now?
Yeah.
The DC Mini. But I would say before that, another one that completely unexplained. Paprika yells "Look out!" and warns Shiba. Like notices that he's falling through and is gonna fall on top of her. Like I don't know why in the real world Paprika has like premonition powers.
Yeah, because there's a couple times where
She
Paprika
warns
warns her.
Yeah.
I think that's the her using it so much. It's just like crossing into her.
Oh, it knows the DC
Yeah.
Mini. Okay, that makes
Yeah,
sense.
I
Or
think
not
that's
even
it.
the DC Mini, but almost just like a subconscious.
Oh, like a connection.
Yeah.
Like Kokinawa does at the end of the movie. Same kind of thing. Like you have such a connection with this person that you like,
Sure.
see them. Speaking of Kokinawa, after this scene, he's driving home and he's thinking of college days. What did you guys think was happening during this? Like, there's like panic and some lights flashing and.
Oh yeah, he just has a panic attack.
Yeah,
that was my read.
First time I watched it, I was like, "Oh, is he in a dream? Is that what they're trying to get to me?"
Yeah.
And then I watched it today. I was like, "Oh, fuck, it's a panic attack. Like that's really well shot for a panic attack."
Yeah,
that was interesting.
It's again, there's some kind of throwing you into it. Like you're supposed to understand by now that like the reason he's seeing the therapist is because he's having this recurring nightmare and it's causing him to have like physical symptoms.
Right.
They just kind of like you're just supposed to catch that and like keep going.
Accept it.
Yeah.
And move
So
on.
he has a panic attack.
Yeah, that was a really good. Watching it today, I was like, "Oh my god, that's dead on. That's
Great
awesome."
representation.
I know. Also, during the movie, Nate brought up because the old scientist and the detective. The old scientist said something about how they were old college buddies,
Yeah.
and Nate's like, "Do they really want us to believe these two are the same age?"
Oh my god. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why he bounced. He's 50.
He says he's his older mentor, but I'm like, he's like 30 years older than him. Like, what's this guy creeping around at the college for?
Do you think that guy represented as the ringmaster in the circus? He says he's an old friend. Do you think it's that guy, Chief? Like as a younger person?
I think that's supposed to be his best friend.
Okay. That we don't see the face of.
Yeah, we never see his face other than the circus ring, the circus master.
Okay.
Yeah.
He said it was an old colleague, so yeah, you could read that as like coworker or friend or whatever.
I think that was just him still not wanting to talk about the movies. Like he doesn't want to talk about that story yet. He describes them in vague terms and he gets more specific as time goes on.
True. Good point. Chiba has to go into Himuru's brain to figure out where the other two minis are because his brain will unlock everything. And Osanai tries to talk her out of it because he's a punk ass bitch, as we find out later. But we didn't know it at the time, so we're like, oh, okay, he's just being, careful, nice guy, likes her. And this is where
you even with him, because I think by this point he gives that speech about how, like he always wanted to be the best scientist, but he can't because she's better
jealous
than him.
of Tokita
and of her.
And of her because he's like because he was talking to her specifically, and he's like, I always wanted to be the best, but I can't because you're here, basically.
Yeah, right.
I refuse to see him as a victim.
I mean, I do too, but I'm saying at that point in the movie, I had sympathy for him because
that's true. He hasn't done anything bad yet.
Yeah, at this point, he's just.
We don't know if he's
apparently dislike gay people, but
yeah.
Well, he hates himself for what he did.
Well, we don't know that though.
But I think he's also doing it with the chairman. Oh, right. I see what you're saying.
Like, all we know about this guy, he's only been nice so far, except sneering at some gay porn. That's all we know. Yeah.
So Cop is in the hotel, stuck in a dream. So she's got to bail. Paprika goes to save him. The same circus dream happens, but this time they're in an elevator, is what he falls into after all the people attack him that look like him, instead of Tarzan.
I took that as Paprika changing the dream to help him.
Yep. Yeah. I want you to see all these things happening in front of you. So they go to the first floor, 14th floor, it's Tarzan. 15th floor, it's the noir. 16th floor, it's the market scene, fair scene. And then she says 17th floor, and he stops her, and then doesn't want to go to the 17th floor because he knows that's where the homicide victim was in the hallway that he can't solve. And then all the numbers on the elevator change to 17. They all light up, and he sees himself as the victim this time, as the person being shot. He's holding a gun at one point, being the shooter. And Paprika watches this all from a theater. Like, she wants him to experience this as a therapy thing. He joins her in the theater.
It's like these super creative ways to in the movie, she's just being creative, like on the fly. Obviously they had time to think of it, but just like these incredibly creative ways to use the dream framing and how dreams work to like how you can just like flip a perspective in a dream and suddenly you're doing something completely different.
Yeah.
And so, she sees it from one side that he's been blocked at and he's going to fail again. He starts falling again. And then it cuts to her watching him do it and she applauds him. And then suddenly he's able to jump back in right where he was and keep going.
Because she says encore. Like, do it again, do it again.
Yes.
Yeah. And then he does, and he gets out, and he's sitting in the theater with her, and they're talking about the session. And then Himuru and Fatty show up in the dream, and he's like, "Am I freaking out?" And she explains that like dreams are merging and like this is a really bad thing, and Dr. T is already gone, and Himuru and him are in REM sleep, but they're not dreaming, so like their consciousness is gone. And in between this, the cop is explaining like intricate film things to Paprika. Like that's what we see him doing in the theater. Like, so we kind of start to unravel. He knows a lot about movies for not liking them. Like we start to hear.
Yeah, because for that it was quick. You know, he went because the last thing that he mentioned about movies was I hate movies. I don't, you know.
Yeah.
And then the very next time he's talking about movies, like he's going into it, and you're like, oh, this guy's
like
she asks him. And he gets through the end of the thing, and then she says, "What was that thing you said about the
pan
action
focus?"
line?
Yeah.
Well, first the action line. She asks him like what that was, and he explains it to her, and he changes into like a director's costume, like he's wearing a director's costume.
Yeah, and then they explain that 180 rule, like visually. Oh, it was so good. It was so smart.
Good.
Yeah, there's like poking fun at stuff like that. The rules of film, as it were, which this is slowly breaking all of them while also paying homage to a lot of great ones. It's so good.
Yeah. And then she asks him about pan focus, and then it zooms backwards, and you see behind them from the film projector box, the parade starts pouring into the theater room.
Oh, so good.
Just so slowly.
So dreams are starting to merge. Streams are crossing. We're having bad times. So Paprika gets out, and Dr. T and Himuru are being checked out by Paprika and the old man. Sorry, Chiba and the old man at this point. And Chiba has to go into Himuru's dream to figure this out. So Chiba drives in. It's Paprika. We got another banger of a song going. Parade of what the fuck is found.
The trailer shot, I would call it, when she drops into the sky.
Yes.
Pops through the cloud and comes out as the Monkey King.
Yeah, that was so sick.
Good.
Yeah.
Monkey King, is that a thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a pretty traditional thing in Japan. Like it's a well reference. You see it in a lot of movies, a lot of even folktales going way back, and then they've adapted it into a lot of anime. Probably the most notable one is Goku.
Yeah. Dragon Ball.
And Dragon Ball.
Cloud.
Yeah, like so fighting with the bow staff and being on the cloud is like, all trademarks of the Monkey King.
And
the Cloud
Kingdom,
thing.
One of my favorite kung fu movie recommendations.
Yeah, I remember
that. We'll just jump forward to recommendations. Go watch The Forbidden Kingdom too. 2012.
I think it's called The Mushroom Kingdom.
Introduction to kung fu movies. What's that?
I think it's called The Mushroom Kingdom.
Oh god.
Yeah, so she drops into the dream.
Yeah.
She's in full Paprika mode.
Going hard. And afraid of what the fuck is found in Himuru's dream. Parts of the dream are starting to break like glass. This is one of the scenes that we were talking about where it's like directly Inception did it. So she's like going into this glass building, like through these like dingy hallways. And then she gets to a sewer.
Dolls.
Yeah, nightmare dolls everywhere of Dr. T. Yeah.
Oh yeah, when they start doing the horror film distortion.
Yeah. And then Paprika spawns a Tinkerbell Paprika who goes down into the sewer, flies through a hollowed body that you find out later is Himuru. So we like kind of get this visualization of like they're just empty shells at this point. Like there's nothing here for them to be anymore. And then she finds a tree of the chairman, and we see the chairman's face for the first time in one of these dreams, and it attacks her, and she gets jumped out of the dream. And then the chief and Paprika have to run to the chairman's house to like stop him. And they're like,
not yet.
Yeah.
No, the tree
because she's jumped out.
Her. Is that?
The tree starts attacking her, and she's like, "Jump me out, jump me out, jump me out," and she gets jumped out.
Okay, maybe.
And then they go to his place, and he's in the greenhouse talking about how like technology and nature need to be separate. And then you see him stand up, and you're like, "What the fuck?" And then he's like kind of gliding, like he doesn't look like he's walking.
Yeah,
comes around the corner,
like. Because just before that in his speech, he's talking about, like dreams are sacred and it needs to be kept independent from this technology. And he's like, because in dreams you can do anything, and all this. And then he stands up.
Yeah.
And, it's like right after he says in dreams you can do anything. And I'm like, where are we?
And for me on the second watch, I kind of like forgot where this happened. And the door opened without them like buzzing. And I was like, oh, that's a dream. I was like, oh shit. So
Nice.
yeah, he's coming around the corner and you see he has like fucking trees for he looks like Groot, like if Groot got his legs blown off or something. Just choking people out with his vines.
I think it kind of shows how he's using dreams to get over his mobility issue.
Yes.
Like over his disability. Like he's like, here, I can have tree legs.
And then you flip back and it's Paprika now instead of Chiba. And some other person, it was Osanai instead of the chief. And I was like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
You're screwed.
We're still in a dream.
Yep.
What's real?
So Professor X is attacking by walking on some tree limbs. Turns into Paprika. And then there's more blue butterflies that come around. Blue butterflies were like my signal for we're in a dream about midway through the movie. There's a blue butterfly. She goes down into the dollhouse thing.
That's the first time I see the blue butterflies were Osanai, like his representation in the dream.
Yeah, like he's guiding her to these things. Like maybe Osanai was like pushing her into the closet or something. Like that could have been that. So she's chased by the tree man. She jumps into a painting, becomes like part of the painting, like becomes like a mythic creature. Griffin. Yeah. And Osanai is
I can't claim
Oedipus.
Yeah, I was gonna say I can't claim that I like recognize this offhand. But once they make the Oedipus joke, you realize that it's a painting of Oedipus.
Yeah.
And like some classical scene from like Roman mythology.
Yeah. And so Osanai's Oedipus shoots an arrow, hits the griffin that is Paprika. She falls into the water, turns into a mermaid, swimming around, and then you hear the chairman's voice again, and then a big whale with the face of the chairman pops up, blowholes her out to the parade.
Can you imagine how bad this would be in live action?
Fucking awful.
Terrible.
Awful.
Yeah, and like 30 seconds of amazing action that costs $10 million.
Can I offer an early choice for chairman that I think would make the most sense for this part of the movie? Vince Vaughn.
What?
No.
Vince Vaughn's big dumb head, all shaved, fucking coming out like a whale.
We haven't seen Vince Vaughn in a while. Maybe.
I think it'd be hilarious. So anyway, swallowed by the whale is chairman.
A dick and say Sir Patrick Stewart.
Oh no, he's too good for this. He already did the live action Christmas Carol. We can't make him do another one. That one was good though. So added to the pile of parade of what the fuck, blue butterfly. So we find out Tinkerbell Paprika was like ahead in time of like Cloud Paprika. So Cloud Paprika comes around the corner, and she's like,
still
yo,
not
yo,
clear
yo.
what's happening.
I don't either.
This point.
Nope.
There's
like we looped back in time.
But I think it's because it's Tinkerbell and real Paprika. Like real Paprika could have been flying around the whole time.
Oh,
that's what I thought. Because Tinkerbell just kind of got shot down.
That.
Yeah.
I just thought that was like a cool transition of like showing that she can just change her form, which could be, but like, they just time loop though in the dream.
There's a couple instances in the movie where they just mess with the concept of time too.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not entirely sure.
I'm pretty sure it's just to fuck with high people.
Yeah, because I don't know, just
because we talked about addressing the audience. She's fleeing as a Pinocchio, and she gets back to the parade.
After she's out of the way.
Chairman, and the chairman is sitting there, and he just looks at the camera and goes, "The part of the dream you were familiar with starts now." And you're just like, "What?"
Yes.
And then it just cuts back to her initially entering the dream.
Yep.
And you're just like, "What the fuck? Like,
That's
why
true.
are you even helping me?"
Just a little nudge, you know.
Yeah.
So blue butterflies engulf that Paprika, and she disappears. And then she reappears in a butterfly prison of Osanai, who sold his body to Himeru to get access to the DC Mini. So we find out that's why he was like kind of disgusted by the pornography in Himeru's room, because he sold his body to Himeru. So nice. And then he gets all
and everything
fucking
else is left
creepy.
Implied.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But
so
first,
the
cops in the club.
We get to the scene where I'm like, this is why I even recommend it to you guys. I'm like, with a caveat that there's some anime creepiness in this movie.
Oh, there's some real. I like how the reference to towards the end when like everyone's joining the parade and there's all the upskirt people taking photos. That was hilarious.
Yeah.
I love that call. So then we go back to the cop. He's in the bar with the Hitler stash guy and the other guy, and he's getting drunk, and they're like, yo, you're drunk. And he's like, I'm not drunk. You know why? Because I know I'm drunk, and that means I'm sober. And it's like, okay. And then it turns to midnight, and it turns to June 17th, and he freaks out because he hates the number 17 because the bartender mentions, like, it's a contentious number. And then they kind of break into him. It's like they're being therapists, too. Like, they're breaking in his walls of, like, you talk about movies a lot. It seems like you know a lot about it. And then he unravels a whole backstory that we didn't know about.
Another thing that I still don't know. Who are these two dudes?
Yeah.
The bartenders are, like, clearly, like, allies of Paprika.
And they're real.
But are they?
They're...
We'll get into it
later. I think so.
With what you're saying. I don't know that they are.
Okay.
But they're
just because they're dreams, does that mean they're not real?
Yeah, I don't know, man.
Yeah, Nate, can you unplug an AI consciously? You know, can you?
That's like, oh yeah.
Oh, no, I think my computers are made at conception, not when you open them. My AI, as soon as that chip is there, it's real to me.
Redneck AI scientist.
Yeah, that's
year
pro-life. That's pro-life.
Yeah.
Can't unplug my cable after 6 weeks. Like, what the fuck?
I love her.
I don't care if you put an Intel on an AMD. It's got to come out. This is our new bit.
Right.
This is a good one.
This is this has legs. Just like my computer does at 12 weeks in the womb. So the cop's in the club. 17 appears again, and he realizes that he has a breakthrough of, like, remembering his friend who he made movies with when he was 17, and then his friend got sick and died, and he wanted to keep doing the thing in film school, but he didn't think he could live up to it, and that's why he's where he is today. And you're like, oh, he just had a moment. He just unlocked this anxiety thing.
Like, he literally comes out of it with, like, a cum face. Just like, that's how big of his psychological breakthrough was. He goes, oh, man. I want to unlock my childhood memories. Jesus.
In Japan, you're only allowed to come 3 times. Or because of 3 things. When you unlock trauma, when you upskirt photo an underage girl on a train.
And tentacle porn.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe they weren't tree roots.
Oh. They did get all up in there, didn't they?
They were tree roots, but that was still tentacle porn.
So he has this moment. Then he goes into the movie theater hallway, and he sees Paprika, and he hears a scream. And we get in there, and Osanai is literally all up in her guts, like phases through her clothing and consent, and just shoves himself up in there. And he, like, rips open this facade of Paprika, and then there's a naked Chiba in there.
It was brutal because we talked earlier about her, like, in this scene, like, kind of manipulating him, like, using her therapy powers to try to, like, break him free of this, like, brainwashing or just manipulate him, whatever it is. She seems so in control. Mm-hmm. And, like, she acts scared, but then she's clearly, like, laughing at him and mocking him for being pathetic, basically. And she's so in control, and then he does the hand, and it's just like, oh!
Because he's saying, like, weird, culty things, too.
Oh, yeah.
Because, like, he's deep in it. Like, he's crazy. He's talking about, like,
he says we're the sacred protectors of the dreamland.
He's
been brainwashed.
He thinks he's like one of the chosen ones, and that this is some holy mission.
Do you think he was under the control of the chairman the whole time? Like Himaru's thing, but it wasn't as far gone because he let him in?
See, I mean, he's definitely been manipulated
is he a victim?
Somehow, but, like, it's hard to say. Like, the other thing is, too, like, you don't know, like, was he manipulated in part because of the dreams and the DC devices, or was it just, like, your classic swindled by a cult type leader, like, just sweet talked in the real life into thinking this stuff? Or
like, I think it's clear by, like, the resolution of this scene that, I mean, he's a bad guy, but he is a victim of the chairman. The chairman's the badder guy.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. Yeah, I think he would have done these things to Paprika regardless because he had such an infatuation with Chiba.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, he unlocks
He
naked
definitely
Chiba.
gets off on the power he has in the dream.
Oh my
And,
god.
like, he's clearly like more familiar with the dream power. Like only he, the chairman, and Paprika are on this level of dream power.
It was this
where they
weird
kinda, like,
molesty moments around it too. It was weird.
Oh yeah, it's
fucking
very uncomfortable.
unnerving. Yeah.
Yeah, which I think is on purpose. Like,
yeah.
There may be a little bit of like just default anime perviness, but like I think it was meant to make you feel really uncomfortable.
Right.
Like that's the only way to get that uncomfortable.
Well, you know, I think the stereotypical anime weirdness is like the end of that is when he phases through her. I think at that point it's like, oh shit, now it's just like weird.
Yeah, once he got past her stomach, it was like, oh no, this is just. But then then we very quickly move into the arm tentacles.
Yep. Because the cop breaks through in this really cool scene where he like comes in through the wall through the theater. So like you see him break into this world. It's really wild to watch.
It was cool too because it's, you know, like talking about how those three are the only ones who have that mastery of the dream world, and so like the cop realizes he can do this, but it's still not easy for him.
Yeah.
He has to just really, you know, where something like you know, Paprika would have just boom, you know, happily dove
Jump
in
through the screen.
Yeah, but
but
the cop has to. He's like, oh, I can get through and I can do this, but he has.
It's kind of Matrixy.
Yeah.
Like that.
Gotta believe in it.
Pushing through. Yeah, he's got to believe. Yeah, and he doesn't believe yet. He's got to push through the wall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Literally. I like that. So cops chasing Osanai after Osanai and Chairman like comes in on his body and fucking takes him over and tries to like tear apart the doctor, and the cop comes in, takes out Osanai by shooting him in the hallway again, just like the homicide victim was earlier. And then Dream Osanai dies. Chairman wants to take over his body, but he slips into a void because we see like Osanai in what we assume is more of a real world, like fall to the ground, and the chairman's chasing after him. Then all of a sudden, there's this like black hole of energy taking everything away. And Chiba is woken up by the chief, but she thinks she's kissing the cop in like a movie ending, so she slaps the shit out of the chief when she gets woken up.
Oh yeah, it's the ending scene. He's got his cool guy action ending after he shoots, and then he's holding the damsel in distress, and he kisses her, and then it cuts to the professor kissing her in real life.
So good.
That was her kick.
Yep, that was her kick. I don't think he was kissing her though. I think he actually just like she finally woke up.
I think he was kissing her to wake her up. I do think.
I think the cop was kissing her. I don't think the chief was.
I mean, he was within slapping range.
Oh yeah, he was close.
I think he was just there trying to wake her up.
Yeah.
And then in the process of her waking up, where the dream and the reality blended together.
Based on his smile, I think he saw the dream happening and like kissed her to like pull her into. That was my interpretation, and then she slapped him for it.
I think she was.
As soon as she slapped him, he's like, like he's having a great time.
He had to like worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It was a worth it phase.
This is the third way a man can come in Japan. So chairman, they know they have to go for the chairman now, so old man and Paprika are running through this like glass building trying to make calls to make people come around, and then the voicemail you hear for the call starts to get weird. It says like 7:63 a.m. and then the doll shows up behind him all huge and like breaks through all the glass and is starting to chase him, and you're like, fuck, the real world and the dream world are starting to come in as one. So there's the what the fuck parade. You see like men jumping off buildings in like a synchronized swimming style.
Which earlier when you said this movie doesn't show innocents dying.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
those guys are dead.
It's like,
yeah, we don't see it.
I'm not sure still. I think I'm now convinced that this is like dreams and reality merging. Initially I thought they were just still in a dream. But no matter what, and the dream was like, you know, everyone in real life is starting to see the dream and start to act out the dream.
Right.
No matter what interpretation you have, those 10 guys jumped off that building.
Oh yeah, they're fucking dead.
And they're dead.
I remember I think it was just a hair later, but it was still at this point in the movie. like speaking again of like I think sometimes the dialogue in this movie is actually just the people or the movie like talking to you. But because we were watching this movie at this part, and Taylor goes, "Is this the dream or is this real?" And we were like, "I don't know." And I said, "I don't even know if they know if they're in the dream or not." And as soon as I said that, the detective goes, "Are we in the dream still?"
Oh yeah.
I was like, "Oh yeah,
we're all in it together, man.
We got
Nobody knows.
This is tough sledding. So reality and the dream world are merging. Chief, Paprika, and Chiba are trying to get to the mastermind. Paprika shows up, and this is where she goes, no questions, just let's go. And you just go with it.
Yes.
It's great.
Yeah, they look up and they're like, what?
Yeah.
No time.
Yep. Paprika shows up, which shouldn't be a thing because how could they're supposed to be the same person? How are they in the same place at the same time?
What the fuck is happening? And then we see Fat Guy as the robot shooting missiles at the doll to get him to stop, and then he kind of goes crazy, and Chiba's like, I need to save him. He's my man now, all of a sudden. And Paprika's like, you don't control me, I control me. I was like, oh, do you? Like, are they conscious? And they split.
I saw, so apparently this is based on a book.
Yeah.
And I saw it today. Apparently the romance is less out of the blue in the book. Because in the movie, you're just like, what? Yeah, like, you see him. She like berates him the whole movie about being fat and being a slob and like how could anybody love you? And then she's like, I need to save him. He's my champion. I'm like, what the fuck? So two bartenders and the cop also show up. Dr. T does the missiling. Chiba's gonna go help him. Chiba eats him. Chiba gets eaten by Dr. T. Yeah, like well, you were saying the bartenders. Are they real or are they not? Like
real.
They could just be from the dream world and now they're in the real world because they're merging.
I think they're two therapist types with Paprika, with Chiba. So I think there's the two secret ones that they have on the outside that don't work for the company. That's like Paprika's like help or whatever. Fair. So I think in the outside they're real. That's why they have injuries in the dream world. When they're done doing the like fighting and stuff, they come back with like all beat up. And remember when Paprika got slapped, she got red on her face. So I think in the dream world, if you're real, you can take injuries, which show in the real life.
Okay.
Yeah.
But when they have injuries, they're in the dream world.
Yeah. Just like Paprika, she had an injury. Remember when she got slapped, she had the redness on her face, and what's his face got shot. Osanai. All right. So you take damage. Anywho.
Oh, we know we can take damage.
Yeah.
We know that because Osanai says, the pain is real.
Yeah.
Get shot. Speaking of, we've already passed your favorite line in the whole movie.
When
the detective's saving Paprika.
Yeah, when the detective he grabs Paprika and then he runs out and then he's like on that alley.
Mm-hmm.
And then
the movie alley.
The older the chief scientist is looking down from the billboard. And he goes, why are you in Paprika's dream? And he goes, why are you a monkey?
Fair question.
Way he said it too. He's like, why are we even wondering things now?
Yeah, why are you asking stupid questions? Chiba gets eaten by Dr. T, and then the bartenders fly off with this like banner to blind the fat man and get him stuck in the wall, and then Ghost Chiba shows up and she fucking saves him.
Scene. I don't know what this is in anime, but I love it. They're saving through this guy.
Saving the day again on my clouds. So Chiba comes in as Ghost version, pulls the Dr. T off. She goes away because she was dreaming. This is the first time she's had a dream in a long time. Paprika sees it. She knows what has to happen, so she like dive bombs into Dr. T's mouth or whatever, and then comes out this baby that slowly eats all the bad things happening as the chairman comes out of the void as this giant monster, and the baby keeps eating stuff and becoming an adolescent, then becoming an adult, then becoming full grown, and everything's fine. Here's
my hot take.
Okay.
This is
that's the end of the movie.
That's the end of the movie. She sucks him up. There's a little bit of falling action, but it's pretty quick. Also, love the music as she's absorbing him. The triumphant music. I don't know what it is, but it's so good. It's not something you'd want to listen to, but like
I have.
That's fair.
I listened to the soundtrack. It was really good.
So baby comes out, starts sucking stuff up, and he goes like, why are you sucking up my dream? And I'm like, this is just like a child like eating the dreams of a parent.
Yeah.
That was my interpretation of it.
The youth taking over the world. Yeah.
Yeah, it's clearly like he's like, why are you disobedient? It's literally just like a metaphor of raising a child.
Yeah.
And she just eats him because he's the parent.
We are here for
Loved
you
it.
and you only. So yeah, that's the end of the movie. I really liked it. It was great. It was fun. It was Dr. Chiba and the fat guy get together in the end. That's pretty cute.
Yep.
And then the detective gets. This is where it starts to be like, okay, maybe the dream world is still like real in itself, because the detective gets a message from the two bartenders.
Yep.
And they have a message from Paprika, which sounds very distinct from a message from Chiba.
Yeah.
The way that message was written makes, I don't think it's Chiba anymore. I think they are now split.
Paprika's fully broken off.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Paprika's our own person. Yeah. I like that. I agree with that. So let's, first off, we like this movie. We recommend this movie in certain places. What would you drink with this movie? I said an espresso martini.
I was just going to say
okay.
absinthe.
Yeah, I was going to say that too, but I was pretty sure
stuff.
we used it once. But yeah, it's going to be absinthe again, isn't it?
Maybe Diet Blue, so we work with Paprika Tinkerbell. Like, drink absinthe and see Paprika Tinkerbell. That's my answer.
I like to drink absinthe and see Paprika tinker her bell. You know what I'm saying?
Ugh. Ben, the movie's creepy enough.
I don't think it was an off-putting level of creepy.
There was for about 3 minutes.
It's so short.
Yeah.
It's like 3 minutes, and it's clearly villainous. It's just like, I can't recommend this to everyone. Because I'll be like, hey, about that scene. And I'll be like,
I mean, I'd argue, because people have had that complaint about, like Game of, like any sort of like kind of
Game
a
of
salty
Thrones,
scene in general.
yeah.
Like, I mean, it's like, well, that's how the world is sometimes.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
Guys be rapey.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like, and I don't think it's a critique when movies like shy away from it, but I think
Sure.
I think as it was done in this case, I'm like, yeah, that's
Another case where animation helps too. Like, it was uncomfortable enough. They wouldn't do I mean, I would be mad if they did that in real life.
Imagine when Scarlett
recreated that
Johansson
scene exactly
gets filleted from the other Scarlett Johansson.
The filleting part isn't the part that I like.
Well, I know.
Like, makes me cringe.
Yeah.
It's definitely the tentacle part.
It's every other part also. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's talk about some people that were in this movie. Megumi Hayashibara played Paprika and Chiba. Fun fact, she has been in every episode of Pokemon, the animated television show. She voices Pidgey, Dragonair, Raichu, Espeon, Glaceon, Tangela, Pidgeot, Porygon Zero, Ash's Rowlet.
What range?
Porygon Zero.
Yeah.
I don't know how
She's
deep
all over the
into
place.
Pokemon lore people are, but Porygon, so all the Pokemon can say one thing, and that's their name.
Yeah.
Like if you got Bellsprout, it goes Bellsprout. So they all have their funny voice. The Porygon, and they're just like weird machine.
Oh.
So
I'm pretty sure there was some modulation.
okay. Okay. As I said that, I'm like, okay, there was definitely effects.
Yeah.
Imagine a human just being like,
Yeah. Yeah.
She was Sage in Sonic video games. I don't know who Sage is. She was in My Hero Academia as Pino.
I was going to say, notable things I see are My Hero Academia and Ghost in the Shell.
Yeah.
Those are some big anime.
The guy who played
I've heard of Detective Conan, but I've never seen it.
Again?
I've heard of Detective Conan, but I've never seen
I
it.
haven't seen that.
I'm judging you so hard with this mouse.
The
most pretentious mouse you've ever seen.
The
I'm an artist.
You're yikes. The guy who played the cop was in Dragon Ball. He played Yamcha.
You can't convince me that is not J. Jonah Jameson.
The voice of...
No,
No, I'm reading
The
the
voice
Japanese.
and rendering.
Ben,
No, I know. He just looks
yeah,
like
yeah.
him to me, and I also hear him.
Ben,
Yeah.
did you watch the sub or the dub?
Sub. I'm a sub guy.
We watched the dub.
Pussies.
Wow, you just watch this in Japanese?
Yeah, and I read.
Wow.
For the record, this is like one of maybe 3 anime ever
Yeah.
that I watched with English dub.
I think you always tell me to watch sub, so I watch sub. Ghost, the guy who played Osanai, played Tagusa in Ghost in the Shell, and is in other stuff.
And he got a cute little picture on IMDb.
He does have a cute little picture on IMDb. Look at you.
He's not trying to do a model headshot. He's just like, hey guys.
Like,
Hey, we gonna have fun tonight, everybody. Okay, that was our review of Paprika and our thoughts on it. We think you should go see it. Now we're gonna play a game. This game is called Last Nate Standing.
I don't like the sound of that.
Well, it's because you're in the same room together, so I thought it'd be funny to say Last Nate Standing. So,
Okay.
you two are gonna go back and forth, naming things in a category about movies until one of you cannot answer the question. You have 15 seconds for each response. If you go past that time, you are wrong, and the other person wins. Here's a big rule. You cannot name a movie in the same set. So if you say Two Towers, all the other Lord of the Rings movies are out, but not Hobbit movies. If you say Force Awakens, all Star Wars movies are out. Does that make sense?
I mean, those are 2 very specific examples where you're making a call. But other than that, yeah.
I was going to say I don't know if those 2 rules are
enough
consistent with each other.
No,
Yeah,
that's why I'm saying they seem like movies in the same set makes total sense.
Uh-huh.
But then you're like, these 2 sets of movies in the same universe are separate.
Right.
But
Because like think of
Star
the Marvel.
Wars is in 3 distinct trilogies.
But it's all
those
Star
are
Wars.
all the same.
Yeah, it's all Star Wars.
It's all Lord of the Rings.
But it's not Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit. It's Star Wars, Star Wars, Star Wars, Star Wars. But okay, think about this, right? The Marvel universe. Are you going to say as soon as one of you says one of the Marvel movies, no Marvel movies are allowed? That's why the distinction makes sense.
I don't agree that. I agree that distinction makes sense. I don't agree that this distinction makes sense.
I would say that The Force Awakens should knock out the
all Star
Wars 7, 8, 9.
You got the prequels.
You're insane.
The original and the sequels.
Okay, Harry Potter. Do I knock out
Harry Potter's
the
8.
whole
one?
thing.
That's 8 and a go.
That's 9 and a go.
And I think it's 8 and a go, and then Beast Where to Find Him is separate.
Exactly.
It is separate,
This is
right?
common sense.
So that means that The Hobbit would be separate from Lord of the Rings because they're different books. You two just fucked
we agree
yourself.
on that.
And Star Wars is the prequels, the original, and the sequels.
No, it's all the same. Fuck you.
They're
I made the
separated
rules.
by decades.
I thought this was a very good example, and you would be impressed by how good it was. But no, you two idiots don't understand it. You're like the worst QA testers of all time.
We're the 2 old guys.
You're like
Muppets.
the guy who's being told you're wrong by the QA testers and can't accept it.
Yeah, because I'm the fucking programmer.
Audiences are not responding to this. Fuck
I-
them.
The point of QA testers is to show the programmer when he's wrong.
No, I literally made these rules up, so they are in fact fallible. So, infallible. Excuse me.
They're fallible. No, wait.
All right, shut up, everybody. We're gonna play this game now, and you're gonna
All
like
right.
it. No, that's.
We're gonna love it.
I'm gonna make sure to tell you that you are incorrect. Do you guys have a timer device by you, or do you want me to do it?
We'll do it.
Okay, 15 seconds per. So like 15 seconds answer, new 15 seconds
Yeah, I feel like
answer,
there's a
new
way to
15
do
seconds
this on, like, a
answer.
stopwatch.
Yeah, it's
I'll
lap.
have to be able to reset every time you.
Yeah, reset start. You could do that.
Yeah, you can just hit reset when we do it right.
Okay, just have to hit reset and then play. Okay, and whoever answers resets it for themselves.
Yep.
Okay.
Don't
Okay.
forget to hit play.
All right, you guys ready?
We're ready. Mosby's ready.
So I'm gonna buzz you if you give an incorrect try. So you also can't repeat each other. So if you repeat something, you lose. If you say
Okay,
something that's
just
not
flat out.
allowed, if it's not allowed, I will. What do you think the rule should be? If it's not allowed, based on my
If we think
rules.
it's ridiculous, if we think it's within a subset, then you just let them keep going.
Yeah, I agree. If you
Okay.
think it's just shouldn't be allowed by a judgment call, then you should have the remainder of the 15 seconds.
All right, love it. Here is the first one. Movies that don't have a sequel and aren't part of a larger set of movies, like Fellowship of the Ring, would not count. You know what I mean when I say that? Like Fellowship of the Ring technically doesn't have a sequel
Just
to it.
standalone movies.
Yeah.
The least applicable thing we could possibly pick for the rule that we just argued about for 5 minutes. That's my review of that category.
Yep. That's every other
Inception.
category too. All right. Yeah, fair. Go.
Tenet.
Yep.
Paprika.
Fuck.
Yep.
Pulp Fiction.
Mm-hmm.
$300.
Django.
Pause. There was a 300 sequel, Rise of the Empire.
That doesn't exist.
It 100%
Django
does.
Unchained.
Shit, that was my next answer.
You lost. No, you said
Wait,
you
what?
lost. Yeah, that's a sequel. You got it wrong.
Oh, he's right.
Yeah, it's not a judgment call.
That's
It's
not a reason.
That's just wrong.
yeah.
No one
You know
saw
what?
that.
No one saw that, and no one saw that coming.
That's why as soon as you said it, I knew it was wrong.
That's right, Ben saw it.
Yeah,
You saw
I didn't
it?
see it.
Oh,
No,
was
I
it
didn't
any
see
good?
it. I just knew it was out, and I didn't see it.
You know what? I'm impressed by your movie knowledge.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm
hell
not
yeah.
even-
Bravo.
Thanks. All right, number 2. Nate's up 1-0. Jake, I gave you number 5 is all yours, basically. So if it's 2-2, you have a really good shot to win. I had to give you a like leveler since you've lost so many lately.
Wow. You don't
It's-
have to keep hammering the point. I think we get it.
You're gonna love the category. All right,
I
Number
really
2.
want to get there. Just so
What if I
can win.
lose the category?
Yeah, I
You-
know.
Yeah, I can't win now.
no, you will find out that you have to win. All right. Okay.
That's what makes it worse.
No pressure.
Yeah. Number 2, foreign language movies. Movies originally in a foreign language. When you're ready.
Or do we just go whenever?
Yeah.
You want to go first? I feel bad now.
Spirited Away.
You have to Reese.
Oh yeah.
Parasite.
Train to Busan.
Mm-hmm.
Paprika.
Mm-hmm.
Peninsula.
Uh-huh.
Howl's Moving Castle.
Mm-hmm.
Princess Mononoke.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect Blue.
Mm-hmm.
Kiki's Delivery Service.
Mm-hmm.
My Neighbor Totoro.
Yep.
All right, we've gone through all those.
I think we've done everyone we've seen. Oh, no, we haven't. Oh, we got one more.
Fuck. I ran out of time.
Ghost in the Shell.
RRR.
I was trying to think of.
RRR.
Oh.
Yeah.
There's another really, really.
I was trying to think of
Oscar.
that Mexican horror movie. That's where my mind kept going. Was they
Oh.
remade it in the U.S. But
The it's like a B word.
I don't remember. But it was like a zombie
Babadook?
type.
Was it Babadook?
No.
Would we have accepted The Ring?
No.
No, you'd have to give the name for the Japanese.
Yeah, there was a Grudge one too. You could have done that,
Yeah.
but I don't know the name of it. Nice job. All
I don't know
right.
that either.
So who got that wrong? Jake. So it's 2-0 Nate. Okay. Number 3. I'm gonna have to pull up something for this. Hold on one second.
Yeah.
Movies directed by either Quentin Tarantino or Steven Spielberg.
Ooh.
Directed. Specifically.
Right.
Directed.
Refresh. I think we just did all those, but let's
Right.
do it again.
Django Unchained.
What's that called? Inglorious Bastards.
Yep.
Kill Bill.
Yep.
Oh Oh yeah, I guess that applies to that rule. Pulp Fiction.
Yep.
Oh yeah, I would have said that
Yeah.
straight away.
I was about to do it.
See how the rules are? Yep.
Jaws.
Yep.
E.T.
Phone home.
Ready Player One.
Yep.
Oh, I'm out.
For what's Tarantino? We're missing Reservoir Dogs.
That's the one. I was thinking
Reservoir
of I was like,
Dogs.
the colors.
Hateful Eight, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Django, Inglourious Bastards, Death Proof, Grindhouse, Sin City, Jackie Brown.
Oh, Sin City.
I never saw the Hateful Eight.
No, I know.
Spielberg, we're surely missing a few.
Notable Spielbergs. I will do Raiders of the Lost Ark, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, The Color Purple, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, Hook, Schindler's List.
Well, we were only allowed one of those Indiana Jones.
Saving Private Ryan.
Schindler's List.
AI, Catch Me If You Can, Minority Report, The Terminal, War of the Worlds, Munich, Lincoln, Warhorse, The Post,
feel bad.
The Fablemans.
Yeah. You're just shaming now.
All right, 3-0 Nate. Number 4.
Round 5 is a triple point round.
It's a 5-point round. Number 4. Movies that take place in space.
2001: Space Odyssey.
Nice.
Star Wars.
Which one?
A New Hope.
Okay, good.
What was the establishment on this rule? I'm not going to test it.
He just thought he could catch me not being able to name one.
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Which one?
Guardians of the Galaxy.
I don't. Does that not have a tag on it? Oh, yeah, you're right. You're right. I thought I said volume 1 at the end. I would have given it to you regardless. Okay, good.
How in space does it? It have to be fully in space?
Just tell me it. I'll tell you if it's right or not.
First, Interstellar.
Yep.
Like, can it just involve aliens?
No.
But like,
they have to be in space.
But they go in. If they go into space, but it's not prime.
Like Wild Wild West would not count, but like Men in Black would because they go into space.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Men in Black.
Yep.
Independence Day.
Yep. There you go.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, they do. They have a space scene. Yeah.
Star Trek.
Yep.
Galaxy Quest.
Oh, nice.
Ender's Game.
Nice. Damn.
Nice.
Owned.
I had one.
Just wait till I read off all the ones you didn't get.
Futurama the movie.
That sounds like bullshit.
Bender's Big Score if you want a specific title.
Damn.
Is that a real thing?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, okay. Fine. I have to allow it.
I'm sorry.
Begrudgingly.
Yeah.
Mm,
I'm more of an A-grudgingly guy.
fuck. Damn.
I didn't do any Marvel movies just to be a good sport.
I was gonna.
You could do Thor. You could do all of them,
What is
basically.
in space though?
Thor?
Almost all the Avengers. What is in space?
No, because if they're
Are you thinking like fictionalizes not space? Because I consider it space. Like fictionalized space is still space.
Fictionally, if they're on another, is this space anything that's not Earth?
Yeah.
Okay. I was thinking like,
in relation to me, yeah.
I was thinking like in space and not necessarily just on another planet.
Okay. I'll give you half point then.
Thor is ish. Thor 2 and Thor 3 and Thor 4 all.
I'll tell you what. I'll split the points, and this next one's worth 3 points.
Fine.
So Jake can at best tie, and then we'll go to a tiebreaker.
Okay.
Jake, this question's for you. You have to name movies that Jake hasn't seen.
Oh, okay.
Should've laughed, but I
And
think you
Jake
can come up
is
with
literally the only one that can say if they're right or not. So Jake, you're the judge for this one. And you can go first or second. Your call.
Perfect Blue.
Okay. The Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
I just want to be safe here. Alien 3.
Renfield.
Oh.
The fuck is that? Nebraska.
It's out now. It is out now. Yeah.
This is actually surprisingly difficult.
I know.
The OG Frankenstein movie.
Oh, there you go. Nice.
Cocaine Bear.
Oh, you haven't seen that yet? I figured you would have,
No.
but no. Okay.
The Pope's Exorcist.
Oh, nice. Russell Crowe. Here comes the money.
Futurama Bender's Big Score.
Nice.
The second Hobbit movie.
Okay. There you go.
Shit.
I remember.
All right.
Or the third.
Shit.
All right. We'll take the
Hey.
pity. We'll take the pity.
Don't worry, there is a pretty good last one. Okay.
I like the honest assessment.
Yeah, this one's for all the
Have you seen
marbles.
Jaws?
We're tied.
No, actually.
Fuck!
Nice. Jaws is really good. It's my wife's
You know
favorite
what's
movie of all
funny
time.
is not
You
too
should
long
watch Jaws
ago
tonight.
I saw like Jaws on it was on TV, you know, and so I'm looking at it and it was one of the attack scenes and I'm like, how is this? It's not scary. It's not suspenseful.
Oh, really?
Maybe you need like just the full experience of it and just walking by and seeing a random scene doesn't convey all the emotion.
I think so. I also think,
think-
there is a screening you can do where you're in a lake on an inner tube while you're watching it.
I've seen that.
That one's sick.
Yeah.
That actually
looks
would
really
be
fun.
good.
Yeah.
Your legs.
Yeah. Okay. Last one. This is for all the marbles. Character names in the list on IMDb for Avengers Endgame. So, for instance, Iron Man or Tony Stark would count. But if you give me one, you can't give me the other. So, like, if you give me Iron Man, you can't then say Tony Stark later.
Okay.
Character names in the movie Avengers Endgame according to IMDb.
Tony Stark.
Correct.
Thor.
Correct.
Bruce Banner.
Correct.
What's her name? We'll go Black Widow.
Correct.
Captain Marvel.
That's the one I was trying to think of. Hawkeye.
Yep.
Nebula.
Yep.
Black Panther.
Yep.
Shiri.
How do you spell it?
I don't know.
Pause it. I don't see Shiri.
She's in there.
Ooh.
I
no,
don't see
but
it.
the question doesn't say was Shuri in Avengers Endgame. The question is, does Shuri show up on the character list? Think
Maybe
I
I'm
won't
spelling it wrong.
abuse free pity points to go to a tiebreaker and then claim it on a technicality? You're a fool.
Shiri is spelled
SHU. I was doing SHI. Still not there. Oh, there it is. Okay.
Damn.
Yep.
God.
You're right. You're right. Okay.
All right, you got 6 more seconds.
You can start over. I was doing it.
I lost my train of thought. Yeah, that
Yeah.
was.
Ugh,
You're
it's
interrupted.
exhausting.
Where did we?
I don't know, man.
Captain America.
Yep.
Thanos.
Yep.
Who was Gamora?
Yep.
Groot.
Groot.
Rocket Raccoon.
Drax.
Yeah. Who did Chris Pratt play? Does that count?
Yeah. No. I need the
No,
character
your
name.
favorite actor.
What's his name? I'm so mad.
His name is Star-Lord.
Star-Lord.
As he would like you to remember.
Peter Quill.
Quill.
Jake, can you name one in 3 seconds? 1, 2,
Peter Quill.
3. No, okay, other than Peter Quill. 1, 2, 3. Okay, I don't feel bad. All right.
You know how hard it is to come up with the one when you go name
Wong.
5 seconds. 1.
Yeah,
2.
Wong.
Oh, Wong.
Ebony Maw
Oh my
was
God,
in
the one I
there.
defend all the time. And
Jarvis,
Sam
M'Baku,
Wilson.
Hank
Sam
Pym,
Wilson.
Aunt
Oh,
May,
is that?
My next one
Korg,
was going to be Sam Wilson, so that hopefully you wouldn't remember that he's
Loki.
the Falcon. I was just going to try to start naming character names and fuck you up.
Okoye, Mantis, Bucky Barnes, Valkyrie, Nebula. You said
Bucky
that. Peter
was in that
Parker,
too?
Spider-Man,
Peter Parker,
Doctor Strange, Black Widow.
Ant-Man, the Wasp,
Yes, the Wasp was in there.
Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
I was trying to think of who's,
Peggy Carter.
Oh no, you
Really?
said her.
Oh, yeah. I'm literally just picturing the final battle scene. I was like, she's there?
Yeah, that's what I was trying to think of. Like, when they all have their epic.
Big clash. Well, that was our game. Nate won again. Jake, I'll try again to
Well
give you another.
thought.
Yeah.
That was I got a lot of help and I still didn't pull through.
That's okay.
Pour one out for your boy.
Pour one out for your boy. While you're pouring one out, let's get to some recommendations and our outro. I want to thank everyone for listening to our episode today. I'd like to thank Nate and Jake for joining me. If you're here new, you can follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and anywhere else you get your podcasts. If you do listen on Apple Podcasts, please leave us a review. And if you're watching on YouTube, be sure to like and subscribe to our channel so you can be up to date on all the things that we do. And we're also on TikTok at Rum and Cinema. Nate and Jake, we have some recommendations for the people. Jake, do you want to go first?
Let's see. I don't think I've seen anything new since last time. I'm making headway on the final seasons of Succession. Ted Lasso, I'm parked for now, waiting for the end. Something in my mentality, I'm fine stopping now, but if I got caught up and I was waiting week to week, it would really, really bother me.
Yeah.
But in my brain, I'm like, it's fine if I choose to stop and there's still episodes left to watch.
This pause will be fine. I'll watch it in 2 hours instead of 8 weeks.
Also, my Lord of the Rings nerd needs to mention that they are making, that will come out next year, a Lord of the Rings anime.
Oh.
Based on it's called War of the Rohirrim. It'll take place about 300 years before the events of Lord of the Rings. Centered on the War of the Rohirrim, being
obviously
the horse riding army of Rohan.
Oh,
when
like
they
in
show
Marvel?
up in the final battle. Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
Also, fun Lord of the Rings fact: when they shot that scene, where the riders of Rohan come over the hill with Gandalf and that army of horses, that was all women. Because they put out a casting call for extras, and they said, we need people that have your own horse.
Horse girls unite.
It was almost entirely women that showed
That's cool.
up. And so that whole army is women in armor with their own horses that showed up to be extras.
That's badass.
Yep.
That is awesome.
That's cool.
Pouring out for the horses though, like that's stressful.
That's probably be pretty scary, because that's not something that they've done in their whole life.
Are we in battle?
Yeah.
Whoa! What the fuck? Nate
is the horse's reaction.
Right. That was how they signed their contract.
What was I saying earlier? In the middle of this podcast, I recommended something.
You did.
Ugh.
Go back and find that.
Go back and listen, I guess. Yeah, I don't remember.
I'm not gonna edit it.
If you want to watch another anime that was heavily stolen for a blockbuster film, Ghost in the Shell. Great stuff. Pretty widely considered heavily inspired The Matrix.
Oh.
It's good stuff. Don't watch the live action version.
No.
It's terrible.
Oh, I forgot that was live action.
Yeah, ScarJo.
Oh, ScarJo. I'm sorry.
She tried. Yeah.
Also on Netflix, Feel Good. It's a show it's a very autobiographical show by comedian Mae Whitman, who also has a special on Netflix, and they're great. But the show is great and dark. It's apparently very real because in their comedy they talk about basically being a drug addict in their teens and going through a lot of stuff. But yeah, so the show is basically May as themselves, as a struggling comedian in Britain, and like getting over like being recently sober and struggling with that and finding love and all kinds of mental illness issues. Both the show and their stand-up is amazing.
Cool.
May Whitman feel good.
May Whitman feel good. Thank you. My recommendation, other than Paprika, go watch Paprika, is I was talking about all these TV shows coming to an end and like seasons waiting to see them. There's a YouTube channel called Recap and Chill. I have used them the last couple of shows to recap what happened. They had like every season when a new season starts, it'll be like Succession, season 1 through 3. Watch this before watching 4.
I need that.
And it is amazing. Like all under 20 minutes. It's everything you need to know in really well done detail, and I really enjoyed it. So on YouTube, Recap and Chill, before you watch like next season of whatever show you like.
We watched the first episode of Succession and we were like, fuck this. We have to go and rewatch all of Succession and we don't want to. So you might have saved the last season of Succession for us.
I'll save you 24 hours.
So there's it's a pretty expansive series of JRPGs called Xenoblade Chronicles. And it's very, great games, but it's this very intricate storyline. And there's 3 games in this. Well, technically there's 4, but one of them is like a side thing. So there's 3 main games in the story, and very, very like lore dense. The first you play through the first game, it blows your mind. You play through the second game, you think it's unrelated to the first, and then you find out no, it's all part of this, And so the third game is what ties them all together. But before the third game came out, I was like, it's been years since I've played the first 2, so I need to watch just the story recap of everything, and the story recap that I found was like 50 minutes.
Wow.
Like it's dense stuff.
I love that stuff though. Like it helps so much because I usually don't rewatch shows. I try not to a whole lot, but that saved me a lot of intrigue going into these movies or shows. Well, that was our episode. Thank you so much for watching, listening, whatever you do. Enjoy your rum. Enjoy your cinema. We'll see you next time.